What happened?
There we go. I hit all the cameras except the actual audio.
Oh, do you want to
start
say
again?
Yeah.
No, quick, just quick. But that cut it. Everything else cut it.
Okay. The movie's The Changeling, 2008, done by Clint Eastwood, who does great movies. Angelina Jolie and I keep forgetting his name. John Malkovich are the two main. There's a lot of people in it, but you know those are the main two.
My name is Christine Collins. On March 10th, my 9-year-old son, Walter Collins, disappeared. And a 5-month investigation led to a boy being brought to Los Angeles from DeKalb, Illinois. The LAPD told me and all of you that this boy was my son. He was not my son.
Is this Mrs. Christine Collins?
Yes.
I'm the pastor over at St. Paul's Presbyterian. I've made it my mission in life to bring to light all the things the LAPD wish none of us ever knew about. This police department does not tolerate dissent, and you are in a position to embarrass them, and they do not like it.
I just want my son home.
Why are you doing this, Mrs. Collins?
You have stopped looking for my son.
Why should we be looking for someone we've already found?
The mayor wants this to go away.
You can't do this. No.
You are to convey the prisoner to the Los Angeles County General Hospital psychopathic ward.
By signing this, you certify the police were right in sending you here for observation, and it absolves them of all responsibility.
I won't sign that.
Orderly!
What the hell have you done with Christine Collins?
I know my son is out there. I can still feel him.
Your son, unfortunately, would not be the first, but if you do it right, he may very well be the last.
Your handling of the Christine Collins case has exposed this department to public ridicule. If the boy you brought back is not Walter Collins, then where the hell is he?
I want my son back. I want my son back.
So the movie is 1928. A woman, her son disappears, and the cops go looking for her. This is in it's in Los Angeles, and they tell her in a couple of months that, oh, we found your son, and they make a big hub-to-do about it. And when she sees the boy, it's not her son, and she keeps telling them that. And before the audio was cut out, I was saying women in the Me Too movement should really look at these kind of movies, especially these true stories where you really see how bad women have it. And so she goes and she keeps telling them, this is not my son. And she has proof that this kid is not her son. And because they're so corrupt, the LAPD try to do everything to convince her that this is her son and she's getting crazy. So they put her in what they call a Section 12, I think it's called. Section 12?
Yes, Section 12.
Where all women can be put if they're disagreeable to the police, and which is a mental institution, and it's horrible. And how John Malkovich comes into it is he's a preacher, true story, a minister who is really against the LAPD and its corruption. So he takes a stand with her. Now, there's a second story to this. As she's fighting to get out of this mental institution, and John Malkovich is trying to get her out, they catch a young boy somewhere in the deserty part of like Palmdale area. And he has the story of telling that all these kids have been murdered by this one guy, his uncle. And he's Canadian, and they're trying to deport him. Well, luckily, this detective believes him. And he starts showing him pictures. And one of the pictures that he shows him is Angelina Jolie's son. And he says, yeah, that's one of the kids. And so you see these two stories integrate. And the crazy guy who plays, this guy plays the best crazy in the world. He's like, he's so scary.
Yeah, he's good.
He's very happy. He's very
happy
likable.
and manic. And yeah. And even his sister's petrified of him. And these stories get together, and you see his trial, you see the cops exposed, but they don't find her son. And then right near the end, you see, spoiler alert, that they find a boy. And she goes with all the other mothers, and she finds out her son has escaped, but she always breaks my heart, but he went back to help somebody. So they never knew where he's been. So she's always left with that. And I'll tell you, this story is so moving and I don't even like Angelina Jolie that much. I mean, but in this movie, I loved her. I thought she played the part great. And John Malkovich, well, he's always great. But it is really worth seeing. It's like one of my top 5 movies.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie too. I thought, I'm like you, I'm not a big fan of Angelina Jolie, but they like Tomb Raider.
Well, such a comparison.
Yeah. Awesome. So, but yeah, I thought she was, really good in this. I think, was she nominated? She must have been.
Yes.
Okay, she must have been nominated.
Yeah, she was nominated for
It's
Best
also,
Actress.
it really, I mean, what the movie shows me is that how, things that would seem pretty obvious and how much power, can really control everything. Like, it's pretty obvious that that's not her son. At least, we can. At the beginning, I thought, is that her son? It kind of looks like him. But the first thing I thought was, what do you go measure? Because she does this thing with her son, that she's always measuring him against what the parents do.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, okay, go measure him, make sure. Sure enough, the kid's like 3 inches shorter. And I go, and how because the police department doesn't want to look bad, they send like a psychiatrist to evaluate her, because they say she went through this trauma and that's why she doesn't recognize him, and he's has malnutrition and everything. Because now it's been like 5 months, I think, when they
5 months.
And I go, wait a minute, and how do you explain that he's shrunk? Well, maybe the spine
malnutrition.
goes down. and she does these things when she goes to the dentist to get check the teeth and all that, but
it doesn't matter.
It just shows you how scary it is, because she goes up against the police captain, and he invites her over, and boom, throws her in the mental institution, and like you said, they code 12, and they can just do that. At least then, I don't know what they can do.
And also the thing of, you can't get out. You sign this paper and you can get out.
Yeah, and the little things like, sign this thing that say that you were wrong and the police was right, and then we'll let you go, because they all work together. So, I thought the guy was, he had a great role. I think it's always must be difficult for actors to play those kind of roles, like Lovely Bones.
Jeffrey Donovan, he played
like every time you get the cast, if I was an actor and I was like, you're gonna be cast as a guy that's killing kids and all that, I'm like, let me think about that actually. So yeah, and he did it well. He really plays a great nut. John Malkovich. I mean, the minute I hear the voice, and I didn't know he was in it, but the minute I heard that voice on the radio, I said, that sounds like John Malkovich. Sure enough, he was John Malkovich. Yes. So, and it also shows that you do need some luck too. She was lucky that he was around too, because I can imagine how many people have gone through this and you never hear about him again.
Right.
So it's really well done. Clint Eastwood always, it's like, wow, he's really good at doing this stuff. He's really good at making you get you thoroughly emotionally involved. So I say, if you ever want to change an issue, like whatever we're dealing with, a cause, just have Clint Eastwood do a movie about it. And like, oh yeah, what do I sign up?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's really good at getting like emotional, like Steven Spielberg or or what's his face, Happy Days guy.
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard. So yeah, it was a rough movie. I enjoyed it. I love period pieces. I love how they make downtown LA. You see the train station and all that, and it looks like the red line. It's how do you just get everything looking like it was back then? And the cars, I'm like, I want the car. I love the cars. The 20s. So yeah, it's and also how trusting things are. Like, and she had to work. Like that, she gets called. She has to work and leaves her child by himself. And say, wow, that's pretty rough actually.
But a lot of women have to do that.
And in those days,
even today.
Yeah.
And when you leave children alone, and I don't mean it, it's like, to me, this is something as a society we have to think about. Children alone are vulnerable. So I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that
it needs to be fixed.
That all those children were vulnerable.
And I think and also like anything else, everything she's dealing with, it does take luck too. Like in her case, she had that John Malkovich who plays that the priest.
Minister.
And also there's one police officer, one inspector who actually investigate stuff, and he's also, questioning things. So that she kind of gets helped by that, and then there's that lawyer who's like, kick-ass lawyer that comes in. Anyways, I enjoy the movie. It's really good.
Yeah, I was not looking forward to seeing this movie.
Well, it's not a happy movie.
No,
I was the same way.
When it was
Exactly
out,
the same
I purposely didn't
No
watch
imposter.
it. But it's a true story. It's a true story. This really
that's
happened to
amazing.
somebody. So even though it's heartbreaking, it's kind of interesting too. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Okay, the thing about this is really an actual murder mystery. That's kind of even though it's a true story, it's still basically a murder mystery. The child, as Patty told you, the child is returned. Christine Collins is a working mother, and that's played by Angelina Jolie. In 1928, and the LAPD do this to
Probably today.
yeah, probably today, and that's what I was saying. It's like they everybody knew. The teacher knew that wasn't the child.
Right.
No,
The
no matter
dentist,
what proof she had,
the
if it wasn't
dentist
good enough.
knew. It didn't matter. It was kind of like, but that just shows you because she was powerless. Could not. She was poor. She wasn't poor. She was like a
average
working single mother, right? And so they
They
figured
didn't want to be embarrassed. That's why. They
They
did not
didn't-
want to be embarrassed.
They didn't want to be embarrassed. Why they would be embarrassed, I have no idea. But
idiots.
it's like, but they had they bring this child back, and they have the newspapers there, and they have so. It took a lot for her to go. This is not my child.
I think that's the line that said the most. This is not my child.
Yeah. So I really think this movie deserved. I don't know if the movie got an Academy nomination.
She got nominated
Yeah,
for Best Actress.
she got nominated. She was great, but I thought the movie was great too. I thought the whole thing was fantastic. Okay.
Clint Eastwood's such a great director. I think he does great drama, but his latest films I haven't really watched a lot. I think the last one I really enjoyed was Gran Torino. But I haven't seen The Mule.
Mule's great.
See, that's what I mean. But they don't. They're like this. This does not sound like the kind of topic
Yeah,
I want to
you
watch.
do want a
right?
big, heavy
Because
thing.
even Gran Torino, I thought,
Yes.
this was really heavy for
Yeah.
that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But what I like is that he always has a glimmer of hope, or sort of like a I don't want to say a happy ending, but a hopeful ending, right? So I like the drama that ensues. In fact, there were a couple actors that I liked in it. Because, see, my problem is I do like Angelina Jolie, but I could not buy her as this sort of, I don't want to say mousy, like someone who would just say, no, this is not, she says this is not my son. And then, like you said, the person in charge, what was his name?
His name was Jeffrey Donovan.
Yeah, Jeffrey Donovan's character. He was really good at
so good at
convincing
that.
her, right, that why don't you just take him home for a couple of weeks? He's basically
used to
convincing her,
It's
maybe
like
you're mentally not right. But then, again, because they're the bad guy, I mean, he's very good. I thought that, what was the guy's name? Dennis O'Hare playing the doctor, the psychiatrist who has to evaluate her. How manipulative he is.
He is great.
Really good at showing you how they want to try and convince her that she's wrong. And yet, that's what I like about Angelina Jolie. She does have that core of strength about her where it's like,
That's what's
she's not
great.
going to break. She's not going to break. For me, personally, right? So I had a really conflicting way of looking at her in this role.
Right.
But again, and the another character I liked was the Michael Kelly actor who played the Detective Ibarra, who basically
great.
cracks the murder
Right.
case.
Yeah, he.
Because he's going there to pick out an immigrant kid. That's why he's there, right?
Yeah.
Just all has to do with immigration. And then he finds out the kid does not want to go back to Canada. He finds out that it's like, oh, but I can tell you the story. So he doesn't quite buy it, but then things start ringing a little too close to being the truth. So he's sort of convinced. He calls the other detective, his superior. He goes, no, just bring the kid back. Don't let him talk to anybody. We don't need to know anything. And I thought, at this point, this is when I'm having a problem with the story because, as you mentioned, that when she gets basically institutionalized, right? Then there's this murder case going on, and then you're seeing the corruption of the police department.
Absolutely.
Because while she's there, one thing I did appreciate is another inmate, I should say, another patient at this place, tells her, "Oh yeah, see that woman? She had a disagreement with her husband, and he's a cop, so that's why she's here." And it's like, boy, when you hear that, it's like, and again, this is all supposedly based on fact.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, yeah, look it up. It's the Wineville Chicken Coop Murders, I believe it's called.
That was it.
Right, because
Right.
they mention in the film at the end how Wineville changed to Miraloma because of that scandal. So here you have, I think, unfortunately, the movie has too much going on that it spreads itself, in my opinion, too thin. But because I thought, wow, okay, first of all, just the story of the woman being institutionalized for her saying, this is not my son, and what she has to go through, that's an incredible story there. The murder story alone is another story that's like so disturbing and so sick. And I'm sort of glad Clint Eastwood does not show the violence on screen.
They don't indulge it at all, really.
And then, like I said, the corruption of the police department. I mean, that's almost sort of scathed over in a way. It's just like, okay, that's the least amount we'll pay attention to that kind of thing. So that's my problem. But knowing that this is a true story of all these points,
is
of
amazing.
everything, is sort of like, that's a reason to see this.
Yes.
Only just to get familiarized with the story. And I have to agree with you. The most powerful scene is at the end with the young boy, because that's where you hear firsthand from a victim, because 3 people escape. That's the thing. They show them 3 people escape. The reason he says he knows, because he can identify them. He was asked the names. He says, "Oh yeah, there were 2 boys, 2 brothers named Winslow," kind of thing. He could remember one of the brothers' name, but not the other. Because Walter, and then that's when the detective Ibarra says, "Do you remember his last name?" And he goes, "Collins." He says, that's the boy that they know for a fact that he actually named, without having any information, he named the boy's name. So that's why I think after watching that sequence, it's like so powerful to me. That's where the drama is, the hopeful part, because you can see in her that she has hope, but sort of something's finalized, but yet one of the parents, his parents are there too, and that's sort of really just a nice touch to have at the end of this kind of movie. Because it really is, in my opinion, a horrible story for anyone who's a parent who's lost a child, for any woman who has to stand up for herself and basically is tortured into trying to confess to the police. It's just sort of amazing. But like I said, I wish it's almost like this needs to be a miniseries. They could not contain it, in my opinion.
I couldn't handle if it was a miniseries. Going week to week, no thank you.
This could not. I don't think it really incorporated in one film, or it should be. But it should be a 3-hour movie. Actually, that would have been if it was a longer.
So you can get into each
because everything really, I think, needed to sustain what these people. Because psychologically, you see what she's going through, but there are a lot of people who are obviously affected by this.
So many terrible things on so many levels.
Exactly.
I thought the boy. It might be Devin. I'm not exactly sure who played the boy who was the boy who was part of
telling the story.
Sanford Clark. He was the young boy. You're right. Both of the 2 boys were really, I think, key factors.
Well, his breakdown was like, to me, unbelievable. I was like, what a great. I hope he got nominated for something. I didn't really know. He was
the juvenile actors always get ignored when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I thought you're right. He was the young actor who played him was really amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's at first you're thinking, oh, he just wants, and that's how I'm thinking, right? Oh, he just wants to not go back to Canada for whatever reason, right? But I thought, well, why wouldn't he go back home, right? And then I thought, okay, maybe home wasn't nice. Then there's the actor who played the fake boy, right? I thought he was excellent because he didn't want to go home, and that's why things sort of happen the way they do. But like I said, I have to give it to Clint Eastwood for being the director he is. That I thought, wow, if he did the Martin Scorsese thing, where he just made sort of an epic movie based on this, I would have probably enjoyed it more. But I don't think a lot of people would have gone to see it. Though I know a lot of people didn't go to see this because of the kind of movie it was. So
okay,
I give it to him. I give it to him for making this film.
Okay.
And telling an important story.
Yeah, I thought that kid, when I was talking, I go, that kid's gonna be doing therapy for the rest of his life.
No, go
yeah, I give it a 9 actually. That was like
I give it a 10.
I give it a 7.
I give it a 10.
7's pretty high for that.
So
Okay.
Are we onward?
we keep going.
Yeah, we keep going.
Going.